Hi everyone, Dr. Mad here. Let's get mad about Macbeth. Okay, so the final two scenes coming up, we will listen to them first and then we'll go through them. Fairly short scenes, especially the first one, or scene 7, I should say. And then scene 8 is slightly longer, but not that long. So let's listen first and then we'll go through them.
They have tied me to a stake. I cannot fly, but bear like I must fight the course. What's he that was not born of woman? Such a one I am to fear, or none.
What is thy name?
Thou'lt be afraid to hear it.
No, for thou callest thyself a harder name than any is in hell.
My name's Macbeth.
The devil himself could not pronounce a title more hateful to mine ear.
No more fearful.
Oh, thou liest, abhorred tyrant. With my sword I'll prove the lie thou speak.
Thou wast born of woman. At swords I smile at, weapons laugh to scorn, brandished by man that's of a woman born.
That way, the noises. Tyrant, show thy face. If thou beest slain, and with no stroke of mine, my wife and children's ghosts will haunt me still. I cannot strike at wretched kerns, whose arms are hired to bear their staves. Either thou, Macbeth, or else my sword with an unbattered edge I sheathe again undeeded. There shouldst thou be. By this great clatter, one of greatest note seems bruited. Let me find him fortune, and more I beg not.
This way, my lord. The castle's gently rendered. The tyrant's people on both sides do fight. The noble thanes do bravely in the war. The day almost itself professes yours, and little is to do.
I've met with foes that strike beside us.
Enter, sir, the castle.
Why should I play the Roman fool and die on mine own sword, while I see lives the gashes do better on them? Turn! Hellhound, turn! Of all men else I have avoided thee. But get thee back! My soul is too much charged with blood of thine already.
I have no words. My voice is in my sword, thou bloodier villain than terms can give thee out.
Thou losest labour. As easy mayst thou the entrenchant air with thy keen sword impress as make me bleed. Let fall thy blade on vulnerable crests. I bear a charmed life, which must not yield to one of woman born.
Spare thy charm, and let the angel whom thou still hast served tell thee, Macduff was from his mother's womb untimely ripped.
Accursed be that tongue that tells me so, for it hath cowed my better part of man. And be these juggling fiends no more believed, that palter with us in a double sense, that keep the word of promise to our ear, and break it to our hope, I'll not fight with thee.
Then yield thee, coward, and live to be the show and gaze of the time. We'll have thee as our rarer monsters are, painted upon a pole and under it. Here may you see the tyrant.
I will not yield to kiss the ground before young Malcolm's feet, and to be baited with the rabble's curse, though Burnham would be counted unsinane, and thou opposed being of no woman born, yet I will try the last. Before my body I throw my warlike shield. Lay on Macbeth, and damned be him which first cries, Hold enough!
I would the friends we miss were safe arrived.
Some must go off, and yet by these I see so great a day as this is cheaply bought.
Macduff is missing, and your noble son.
Your son, my lord, has paid a soldier's debt. He only lived but till he was a man, the which no sooner had his prowess confirmed in the unshrinking station where he fought, but like a man he died.
Then he is dead.
Aye, and brought off the field. Your cause of sorrow must not be measured by his worth, for then it hath no end.
Had he his hurts before?
Aye, on the front.
Why then God's soldier be he. Had I as many sons as I have hairs, I would not wish them to a fairer death. And so his knell is knolled.
He's worth more sorrow, and that I'll spend for him.
He's worth no more. They say he parted well, and paid his score. And so God be with him. Here comes newer comfort.
Hail, King, for so thou art. Behold where stands the usurper's cursed head. The time is free. I see thee compassed with thy kingdom's pearl that speak my salutation in their minds, whose voices I desire aloud with mine. Hail, King of Scotland! Hail, King of Scotland!
We shall not spend a large expense of time before we reckon with your several loves and make us even with you. My thanes and kinsmen henceforth be earls, the first that ever Scotland in such an honour named. What's more to do, which would be planted newly with the time, as calling home our exiled friends abroad, that fled the snares of watchful tyranny, producing forth the cruel ministers of this dead butcher and his fiend-like queen, who, as 'tis thought, by self and violent hands took off her life. This and what needful else that calls upon us, by the grace of grace, we will perform in measure, time, and place. So thanks to all at once, and to each one, whom we invite to see us crowned at Scone.
Okay, so let's go through these final two scenes. So, scene 7, the summary is that Macbeth and young Siward fight. Young Siward is killed. Macduff comes looking for Macbeth. Malcolm and Siward Sr. enter. So this scene is not that important. It's a continuity scene. So here, actually, these lines are fairly important. They have tied me to a stake. I cannot fly. So these lines here, he's comparing himself to a bear tied to a stake. So this is a reference to back in those days, they would tie bears to a pole and set wild dogs on them, and they would fight each other. Obviously, a very, very horrible and horrific, barbaric thing. And so Shakespeare is using a metaphor there to compare Macbeth to the bear. But he's saying, I don't need to worry because I only need to worry about somebody who was not born of woman. Okay. And then young Siward enters. So remember, there's a father and son Siward here. And he says, what's your name? And Macbeth says, you'll be afraid to hear it. And young Siward says, no, not even if it's the hottest name in hell. And he says, my name's Macbeth. And Siward says that no name could be more hateful to me than that one. And Macbeth says, well, and no name should be more should make you more scared. And Seward says, no, you're lying. And with my sword, I will prove that you're lying. Unfortunately, sadly for young Seward, they fight and he's killed. Probably not because of the prophecy, but basically he's young. This may be even his first battle. He's barely a young man. Anyway, he dies, and Macbeth laughs that you were born of a woman. So I smile at those kind of people, and I make fun of weapons who are used by those people who are not of woman, sorry, who are of woman born. And then he exits, and now Macduff enters, and he's saying, "Oh, the nose is over there." In other words, that's where the main battle seems to be. Tyrant, show thy face. So he's calling on Macbeth to come and fight him. And these lines here, he's saying, it has to be me that kills you, because otherwise my wife and children's ghosts will haunt me forever. He's saying, I'm not going to fight anybody else. I'm not your people you've hired to be your soldiers. Either I will only fight Macbeth, or I will put my sword away unused. And he's saying, oh, looks like the noise from there shows that the main person is there, the leader is there. So in other words, Macbeth must be over there. So reported widely. But it's a noise reporting it, not people. Okay. And he's saying, right, let me go and find him. Fate, that's all I want from you. He exits. And now Malcolm and Seward enter. And Seward says, oh, come this way. The castle has surrendered. And some of the people, Macbeth's soldiers, have switched sides. So they're fighting on both sides. So some of them have stayed loyal to Macbeth. Some of them have switched over. And also that their own lords are fighting bravely, the English lords. And he was saying the day's yours, you have won. There's just a few bits and pieces left to do. So you can see most of these final two scenes are just kind of continuity scenes, Shakespeare wrapping up the play. There are a few important lines which I've mentioned, and we'll summarize those at the end. And Malcolm says, yes, we're coming across enemies who are basically switching over and coming onto our side. Or some people translate this as they're just pretending to fight, they're not really fighting. So Seward says, enter the castle. And yeah, so that's the end of that scene. So yeah, the only line, so it's a continuity scene. The only line you need to be aware of is this one here. This reference to being a bear, the metaphor. So as you know, Macbeth is often compared to animals over the course of the play, obviously in a negative way. So the connotations of that are obvious. So you can answer this question here, very, very straightforward. So there's no answer slide as such. So I'll just give you the answer. Try to answer it first, pause the video. The answer is that obviously metaphor. I think I gave you that anyway. And the effect being that he has lost all humanity. He's a cornered bear, cornered animal fighting for survival. Okay. All right. And now the final scene, Macbeth and Macduff fight. Macbeth is killed and his head cut off. Malcolm goes to Scone to be crowned as king. Now, this is really interesting because this is very important. So remember, at the beginning of the play, Macbeth defeats MacDonald, cuts off his head, and puts it on the battlements. Here has come full circle. At the end, it's Macbeth's head that is cut off. The only difference is his head is going to be put on a pole. It's not on the battlements. We'll see that in a minute. So almost kind of a cyclical structure. The ending is like the beginning. And here, this reference here, the Roman fool. So in the old days, so as you know, Shakespeare uses three main sources for his imagery: the Bible, ancient Greece, and ancient Rome. So in ancient Rome, when leaders felt they had done something wrong, they would kill themselves. They would literally fall on their sword. Okay. So, but he's saying, I'm not going to do that. Those are fools who do that. He's saying that while I can see enemy soldiers, I'd rather kill them than kill myself. And then Macduff enters, and Hellhound. So hound is a dog. So again, references to animals, always comparing Macbeth to animals, especially as the play goes on and towards the end. And then these lines are a bit strange, actually. He's saying, "Of all men else, I have avoided thee," and he's saying, "Oh, I've already got too much of your blood." And he's referring to the fact that he killed Lady Macbeth and her children, his wife, in other words, Macduff's wife and children. It's a bit weird that he says that. I mean, his whole point has been to, towards the end, just kill as many people as possible. Anyway, Macduff says, "I'm not going to talk with you. I'm going to talk with my sword." Words can't. These lines here means words can't describe you. You are too horrible to be described with just words. So they fight. And initially, Macbeth says, "Oh, you're getting tired. You might as well cut at the air with your sword rather than try to make me bleed." He's saying, "You should be fighting people who can be killed. I can't be killed. I have a charmed life, a magic life. Only somebody who was not born of woman can kill me." And Macduff says, "Well, in that case, you better start despairing because let the angel." I mean, this is a bit of an oxymoron. Let the angel that you serve. I suppose he really means the devil. But anyway, here he tells him that he was born by caesarean section. So this is a bit of the twist here that Shakespeare uses. I mean, if you want to be hypercritical, you could say there's a bit of a hole in Shakespeare's story here. I mean, surely, even if you're born by a caesarean section, you're still born of a woman, right? But anyway, I suppose if you interpret it very, very strictly, then if you're not born in the natural way, then I guess you could say you're not born of a woman. So anyway, he's saying that he was born by caesarean section. So this tells you that caesarean section has been around for a long, long time. It's not a modern thing. And now this is really important because it's one of the few times that Macbeth actually shows fear. Okay. And he says, "Oh, curse be the tongue that tells me, curse you, for it's intimidated me, scared me a little bit. It's reduced my manhood a little bit." And these juggling fiends, so the witches, so the juggling meaning how they tell what they say can be interpreted in two ways. Yeah, the juggling. So they're sort of true, but also basically lying. So porter again also means double meanings and the double sense. Yes, so the double meanings from the witches and the apparitions that they kind of technically they tell the truth, but basically and to kind of keep your hope alive, but basically they're lying. And he says, "I won't fight with you." So one of the few times that Macbeth actually shows fear against another man, another person. Obviously, he has shown fear towards ghosts and the supernatural, but not very often against physical things. And Macduff says, "Then yield thee, coward." So yes, he is being a bit of a coward at this moment, and live to be. So he's saying, "I'm going to put you on show, rarer monsters." So rare monsters. He's gonna cut off his head and painted on a pole means put on a pole, and they're gonna write underneath the inscription, "Here you may see the tyrant." But Macbeth does recover. He only shows fear for just a few seconds, and he says, "No, I won't yield. I won't kiss Malcolm's feet. I won't pay homage to Malcolm. I won't accept him as king and be baited with the rabble, with the crowd, with the hooligans, and be cursed at. Even though Birnam Wood has come to Dunsinane, and even though you were not a woman born, I will still try to the end. I will use my shield, and I will fight. Come on then, Macduff, and damned be him that first gives up." Okay? All right. And then Shakespeare, so remember, this is a play, it's a story, it's on stage. So Shakespeare doesn't tell us straight away who's going to win. Obviously, we can work it out, and he doesn't keep us waiting that long, Shakespeare. But on stage, you might imagine that the director would direct the soldiers to keep fighting for a while, okay? And then the scene switches, and Malcolm comes in, and he says, I hope that all the people who came with us are still alive. And Seward says, well, obviously some of them have to be dead, but from what I can see, we haven't lost too many men. And Malcolm says, Macduff is missing and your noble son. So here, at this point, we don't know who's won between Macduff and Macbeth. And Ross tells Seward that his son has died, his soldier's dead, he has died in battle, meaning that obviously soldiers, that's the job of a soldier, isn't it, to fight and have a good chance of being killed. He only lived but till he was a man, so he had barely become a man before he died. But he did show his power. As soon as he showed his strength and skill and power, he died. And Seward says, so he's definitely dead. And Ross says, yes, we've seen him, we've taken him off the field. But please don't. So he comforts him. Please don't let your sorrow be as much as his life was, because then there would be no limit to it. In other words, not only was he his son, but obviously that he was a brave young soldier. And this line means that did he have his wounds in front of him on his stomach and chest, not on his back? Because if they're on the front, it means that he fought like a man. If they're on the back, it means that he tried to run away and was stabbed in the back. And Ross says, no, they were definitely on the front. So remember, Seward is a life soldier, okay, and his children are soldiers. They come from a soldier's family, so for them to fight and die for your country, for honor, and to die bravely and honorably is the best thing. And they know they're soldiers. They know there's a good chance they're going to get killed. So he accepts it, and he says, no matter how many children I had, I would not wish them a better death than that. And this is just a metaphor. So this is the bell that is rung at death, normally for positive reasons. Obviously, the bell hasn't actually been rung yet. That will come later, possibly, at the funeral. And to the others, it seems like he's not really that bothered, but you can infer that he is. It's just that he's a soldier. That's the way it is. He accepts it. And so Malcolm says, oh, he's worth more sorrow, but I will do that. And Seward says, no, he's a soldier. He fought well. He died well. And God be with him. So obviously, he probably, in those days, he would have totally believed in God and the afterlife. And because he died bravely, the son, he'll go to heaven. But here he says, now Macduff comes with Macbeth's head, and he says, okay, at least this is comforting. This is comforting news that at least his son did not die in vain. And Macduff says, hail king. So he's talking to Malcolm, for you are now king. Here's the Macbeth's head, the person who took your crown illegally. And this means that the country is now free. The time is free. The country is free. And he's saying, I see you crowned. Actually, these lines literally mean that I can see that you're surrounded by all the noblemen who are in their minds thinking what I'm now going to say, which is that what they want to say is, hail King of Scotland. So that's Malcolm, now the rightful King of Scotland. And they all say, hail King of Scotland. And then here he's saying, I'm not going to wait too long before I reward you. In fact, I'm going to reward you straight away, promote you to earls. And that's the first time that's ever been done, the first earls of Scotland. And he's saying there's much else, there's lots of other things to do as well. For a start, we have to call back those people who fled from Macbeth. And we also have to find the traitors who helped Macbeth. And yeah, so that's these lines here, who helped this dead butcher, so Macbeth, and his demon-like queen. And from here we learn that she killed herself in a violent way. We don't know exactly how. And then he says, yeah, so everything we need to do, we'll do at the right time, in the right place, and the right amount. by the grace of grace. So obviously this is God. And in the meantime, I thank you all once again, each and every one. And I invite you to come and see me crowned king at school. And that's the end of the play. So there you go. There are some key quotations from this scene. So some very important points there, especially the cyclical structure. All right. So here are your questions. So yeah, this is important. So pause the video and answer these questions, please. I'm going to move to the answer slide in 3, 2, 1, and moving now. So there are your answers. So this is really important. And this is really important that now order has been restored. The great chain of being is restored. So that's the end of the play. There are a few more videos in terms of revision and exam technique and so on. But I hope you enjoyed that video and the course overall, the entire play. And if you did, and if you found it useful, please do subscribe and tell all your friends about it. So as I say, there are other Macbeth videos, but don't forget the other courses on the channel. So poetry, spectacles, Christmas Carol. So see you in one of the other videos.